And go.
Hi, welcome everyone. Hopefully you've had a great start of the hackathon, and you managed to settle into your team and ready to go, like full on. My name is Gus. I am VP Engineering here at Dataswift, and I just wanted to give you a really quick overview of how you can get started with personal data accounts. How can you use Dataswift technology, and really to just basically give you a context of everything that is available on our platform and how it can be used for the development of the applications in pretty streamlined fashion. So I have prepared a couple of slides. They are just basically there for me to remember what I want to talk about. And I think that one of the most important things that we need to get out of the way first is basically the data architecture that the personal data accounts are using in order to provide data ownership to individual users, and how it is different from what you might normally expect from other platforms. So here on the slide, we basically have the data architecture comparison. So on the left-hand side, we have kind of a generalized, centralized backend system. So the way we build applications in this paradigm is basically having a centralized backend for the application, and within that backend we have multiple users, and their data is basically stored within the same databases, same tables, and essentially what one user, the data that represents individual users' data usually is conceptualized as a row in a table, or maybe a separate table in some cases, but it's generally just mixed in a single database in the backend. And then application basically just talks to the backend through some sort of API and interacts with those databases in pretty much standard manner. Here at Dataswift, and our platform is slightly different from that. And the main difference from the general approach is the fact that for each individual user that we register on the platform, each user basically gets their own individual database, and within that database, then different applications are given access to different portions of the user's database. So the model changes slightly. So if you are building an application on a PDA, your application first will need to talk to different databases for different users. So user one in this case now has their own database. User two has their own database, and user three has their own database. And using our API, application would basically just connect to these different databases. And then the important distinction here is that if there is another application B, and what's going to happen anyways is that during the hackathon, different teams will create different applications, and those different teams might be actually sharing the same users. It might just happen, right? So if we have an application B will also need to talk to the user 1, 2, and 3 databases separately. But the namespaces within the databases are strictly isolated from between those two applications. So application A cannot see the data for the application B under normal circumstances, and application B, vice versa, cannot see the data within the application A. There are special mechanisms to share the data between the applications, but if you're interested in that, then just reach out to our dev support team, and we will be able to explain of how that actually is done, and help you set it up if that's actually needed for your application purposes. So with that kind of a data architecture in mind, I will just now go over things that can be done on our platform, and how we can get started really quickly. Here are basically, I've just listed out like all of the developer resources available. in this call, I will primarily talk about steps 1 and 2A and how to get those accomplished really fast. And then we will have another session later today, which will actually will be focused much more on how to set up the process on 2B, and 2B is the focus on backend developers, whereas 2A is focused on front-end application development. Okay, so I'll just go through these step by step, starting with what we need to get started is basically to create a developer's account on our developers portal. So basically, if I just go to the link, you will see that, well, straight away I went into my profile because I am already logged in. So let me just show you how it looks if I weren't logged in. Just checking, can you still see my screen and you're seeing developers portal? Teresa, I will ask for your help to,
I see the
confirm my
developers portal.
Perfect. All right, so if I just go in the incognito mode, obviously dashboard cannot be accessed, but if I just go to the developers portal, that's where you should land when you're not logged in. And basically here, you can either log in or create an account. And I think here is just like a single word of caution. If you have at any point previously created an account with Dataswift, you should go for the login option. If you go for the create account option, it can be actually tricky due to the name clashes to actually go through the whole process, right? So you would go either to create account, is just a simple first name, last name, and email registration, or you log in if you already registered with Dataswift at any point previously. All right, okay, so just a quick view there. And once you registered, the next step will be to verify your email address to be able to do anything on the developers portal. And the verification email got away from me now. And here we go. Your verification email will look something like that. So it's just a simple welcome to Dataswift email where you will be asked to complete the sign up via this link. And once that is done, then we are into the developers portal. This is essentially the main dashboard of the developers portal. You can see here that I've already created an initial application, which I will use for this demo. But generally, at this point, depending on what you want to do next, and depending on whether you're building a front-end application or a back-end application, you would choose quick start for your project if it's a front-end application. So if I just click here, you can see I can fill out these 5 fields, select the platforms on which my application runs, and with a couple of clicks of the button, the application will be set up and ready to use. And separately, again, more of a discussion for the next call. Specifically for our hack from home, we prepared a special flow for the backend applications and to set up device applications as fast as possible. So basically, you would go to this hack from home option for this hack from home option here. All right. So as I said, I've already done the quick start. There is nothing special there. You just need to select a couple of the parameters. The ones that I would suggest to pay attention to is the application name and application namespace. So these are kind of the 2 main ones that we will want to remember for the sake of running the application. Okay, let's get back to my presentation. At this stage, we have the developer account set up, it's up and running, and then, as I say, depending on the next steps, you would choose which set of process to go through. Now, specifically, if you're developing a front-end application, we have quite a lot of resources to support vanilla JavaScript application flow and setup, as well as resources specific to React framework, because that's basically the majority of our clients use specifically these frameworks. So again, like there is a bunch of things that you can look at. We have a React application build tutorial on our main Hack from Home website, so definitely I suggest checking it out. Then we have a React starter application. So that's pretty much the fastest way to just get up and running if you're using React. The application is really bare bones, and it's a simple to do application with very few visual elements, but it does remove any kind of a complexity of learning Dataswift platform specific things and how they work, because everything is already set up for you. You can straight away go in and use that code. The React Starter application also uses vanilla JavaScript library, which is available under NPM. So this might be something else that you might be interested to install, especially if you're developing something not on the browser, be it React Native applications or things running on the desktop. And finally, there is a general documentation available at docs.dataswift.io, where you can definitely find much more information about various concepts and things that are being used on our platform. So these are all very valuable resources, and they will definitely will be very useful for you to get started really quickly. So what I will do in this for the rest of the talk is basically I will get the starter application and just basically show how that starter application is working. So again, I've already, for the sake of speed, I've already downloaded the repository from GitHub. So repository is now here on my local machine, and if I just list everything that we have, you will see that basically I have the full structure. I've run yarn install just to make sure that all of the node dependencies are there. So again, as you can see, everything is up to date in my case, but in your case, probably it will take a few minutes to actually get everything downloaded and set up. And once we have that, it is as simple as just running yarn command, yarn run, yarn start. Okay, I'm a bit rusty on front and side, so yarn start. Okay, so just a few seconds. And we can see the application starting on port 3000. So if I go back to the browser window, basically I am now in the on the application. So as you can see, very amazing background image, top-notch art. And here I can already start. I'm just a few small steps away from actually starting to test the interactions between my application and the Dataswift platform. In order to actually start testing it, there is a few small things that I need to accomplish first. So first one is to log in into my test account, right? So at the point of registering for the developers portal, under the hood, we created a separate test account for you to use to test your applications. And the credentials for that account can be found under the test account section within the developer dashboard. So here we have a username for the testing account. So I will just copy the username, and when I'm logging in, I will paste my username. Then basically I am, okay. Before actually trying to log in, there is one more thing that I need to do, which is reconfigure the application to use the app credentials that I've created. And in order to do that, I will go to sources, app config.js, and you can see that by default, it uses application ID test hat app and namespace test hat app, but these are actually not the credentials that I want to be using because I have created my own application on the developer's dashboard. And so I have this application, which I call Awesome Tech for HFH 2021. And the relevant information that I need from this page is basically the application ID. So this is auto-generated application ID that I need to copy paste here. All right. And separately, I need to copy paste application namespace. And with these two parameters in place, that should be all of the code modifications I need to do for this first run. So I'll just restart my running application. And now when I try to log in, I go to the test account, I copy my username for the test account. Here we go. And I'm in, right? Again, when you're doing it the first time, you will be presented with the permission screen, and you need to accept the permissions for your application. But because I've done it already, this time I'm just straight in. Everything is confirmed, and here is my to-do application. So as you can see, I have already some tasks for myself that I put this morning in, and I can just add those tasks, add a few more tasks, like finishing the demo. And I can then basically take and modify my record. So finishing the demo quickly. So I've just updated that. So as you can see, like everything just basically just works. And actually the data is being transmitted between my front end that runs locally in my browser and actual test PDA account that is in the cloud being run on Dataswift platform. And we can also just delete items from here. So if I just remove the oldest one, test the API access. Okay, so now this one is removed. So it's basically just full CRUD functionality out of the box. So the idea here is that you can take this application and just start modifying the application and existing setup to basically achieve any functionality that you want to run on the application in as fast the fastest possible way. And just to kind of the last bit, just to make sure that everything is running as you know, like the data is actually being sent over to the PD account. We can verify that this is happening directly through the API of the test account. So here is just a very quick demonstration. So here there are multiple steps involved in actually getting the authentication in place due to the structure, but you don't really need to worry about it too much. The important point is that during the login process that I've just demonstrated, you will be provided an the application token will be sent back to your application, and then that application token can be used for all of the CRUD operations on your approved namespace. So I will just jump over straight to the CRUD operation. So if we just fetch the information, you can see here that I'm using XAuth token header, and I'm providing the application token that I've just mentioned just in a second before. And here you can see this is the response that I get from the server. So I have now the new record that I just added on the application side, which tells me that I should finish this demo quickly. Similarly, you can, in addition to just fetching the information, you can start adding some query parameters to affect ordering. So, for example, I can order the data by date created field. I can choose the ordering as ascending or descending, and I can basically paginate over the data that is being returned. So in this case, if we want to take 5 records and skip 0, we will just get everything returned. If we try to fetch only 1 record, we will receive only 1 record back from the server. If we want to get 5 records, but we skip over the first 5, you will see that I'm receiving just empty array, and that's to be expected because we skipped over the first ones that were available. But if I skip only over 1, we get now 3 records back. So it's pretty much all standard things. Nothing super fancy to get started. And the final bit that we can do, we can also post data. The really important and convenient aspect about the posting data is the notion that the data that's going into the PDA doesn't have a schema, which means anything that fits and can be represented by JSON format can be loaded into the PDA without any pre-configuration ahead of the time. So essentially here, I can just add another record value, and this is just gonna be test. And select the date created. Let's go for 09, just to have something different. And here we go. I can just post data to the namespace, and I receive a 201 response with the actual data being echoed back to me. And again, if I just try to fetch all of the records now, you will see that I have 4 of them here. So that essentially concludes the quick overview that I wanted to give. I'm pretty sure that there will be questions here and there in terms of like how this works or how we can achieve more advanced functionality. There is a ton of possibilities of what can be done, but I couldn't fit all of them into this 30-minute call. So feel free to ask me any questions of if you think that there is something else, something that I haven't covered and you would like to know more about. And if not at the call, myself and other members of Dataswift will be available during the hackathon, throughout the hackathon, and we will engineers will hang out in the dev channel to basically to answer all of your questions and help you with any advanced setups that you might require. So at this point, I would just open the floor for any kind of a Q&A that we might have at this stage.
Thank you so much, Gus. Let me just see. I think we already have the expert stage speaker coming up. Maybe we can move the Q&A to this evening when you finish the whole workshop.
Yeah. I'm sure Tyler can cover all of the questions.
Ah, yes.
He's our expert. All right. So let's move to the